Let me just start this out by saying if I see a Nazi, I will punch it. I promise. We can all agree Nazis and racists suck by now, right? Okay, now that I've said that, let's get to the story. Slate magazine recently ran a story entitled ESPN aired a segment in which white buyers purchased black football players from an auctioneer. And the article shows an actual clip from the auction, which was only some sort of fantasy sports promotion. And in the clip, they show white people actually bidding on a black football player in an auction, which sounds horrible. I mean, a bunch of white people buying black people in an auction sounds just like a slave auction. Sounds like not only were those white people participating in the auction racist, but so was ESPN for even airing the segment. So with this article, Slate was definitely trying to show an example of outrageous racism. Except, of course, that wasn't the whole story. Now, forget the fact that the African-American man in the clip being compared to a slave by Slate is Odell Beckham Jr., a massively successful athlete who literally just inked a deal with Nike worth to be around $25 million. Forget the fact that he's going to make over $3 million for this football season alone. Forget that that's the incredibly successful American man Slate is actually comparing to a slave, because that's not the part of the article that made me go, what? The part that made me go, what? Was that it only included a clip of Odell being auctioned, not the part where very white players were also being auctioned off too. Rob Gronkowski was part of the auction, but Slate didn't even mention that. Slate only mentioned black football players, not the white ones. In fact, Slate hardly mentioned any facts at all, as the article that accompanied that incredibly sensational headline was only 132 words long. And since the story was incredibly misleading, it can only be called out for what it is: race baiting. The unfair use of statements about race to try to influence people. That's what Slate did, plain and simple, like much of the media this week. So, like I said, if I see a Nazi, I will punch it. Thing is, I haven't seen one yet. And no one I know has ever seen one, because where I live, in the real world of New York City, people of all religions, colors, creeds, shapes, and sizes actually all coexist together, just fine, going about our daily lives, like 99% of the rest of my country is doing. But I promise, I'll punch a Nazi if I ever see one, because to this Yank, racism is the worst. And the media fanning the flames, trying to incite people to anger, depression, and violence is a close second.